Hello guys, welcome back, and in this course I'm going to take you through LiveWire. LiveWire is simply a micro framework or let me say a package that is used in Laravel to create single page application without leaving the comfort of Laravel, which means basically while using LiveWire you don't need Vue, you don't need React, you don't need Angular or anything, any framework that is being used on the front end to create single page application. It's quite a powerful framework, it's quite a powerful package, and if you can harness it well, probably even in so many projects you won't need the use of tools like React and Vue. So let me just take you through and show you an example of a project that I've used here with Livewire, and just to help you understand what I'm talking about. So on this project, I've refactored a number of number of blade pages using Livewire. For example, this add page, when I click on it, you'll notice that when I click on this add page, the page loads extremely fast, and that is because I've used Livewire. And also if I click here, again, the page loads quite fast. And one more thing I want to show you is that I've implemented this filter here and search using Livewire. This is on all the pages of this website. So if I click, for example, active here, you'll notice that it doesn't reload the whole page. So once it has loaded data, it displays this here. So this is really wonderful since you are not, making full page reloads, and this extremely improves your user experience and the performance of your page. So on this series, on this course, I'll be taking you from zero to hero on using Livewire. I'll assume that you do not have any knowledge with Livewire, and then we can be able to build everything from the ground up. So the first thing that you need, of course, as I've said, is that Livewire is a Laravel package. Of course, you need a Laravel project. So I'll just head to Laravel here, laravel.com, and then let me see. Yeah, let's do Laravel 11. I haven't used this Laravel 11 since. Let's try this out. So I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to use Composer. So of course, before you install Laravel, you need to have installed or set up PHP, MySQL, because you are going to use database. That is so easy, especially on Windows. Just install Zap until it will come with all these things prepackaged. And also the other thing that I want you to know is that I'm using for my coding, I'm using PHP Storm. So if you really want to follow along and understand some of the cool tricks with PHP Storm, just make sure you also install PHP Storm. So I'm going to open my terminal here and paste this command. So on my terminal, I'm going to paste this command here. So let me rename this project to maybe something like LiveWire course. I just want to run this and just install the Laravel project. So what happened is that when I tried to install Laravel 11, I was told I do not have a PHP version which is compatible with Laravel 11, and that is because currently uh, I have PHP 8.1, I believe, in my machine. So let me just downgrade. This doesn't really matter because Livewire, the current version of Livewire requires Laravel 10. So maybe I'll explore later Laravel 11, but let us install Laravel 10. So it is installing the project. This will take a while, so let me just pause and then we'll continue once the project has been installed. All right, so guys, the Laravel project is set up. So the next thing you're going to do is to head up to Livewire and start working on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is let me see, just go to this installation tab here, and here we are just going to do the minimal requirement. We are not going to complicate things because um, it is not necessary. We just want to install and start, working with the components, properties, action forms, events, and such. We don't need to complicate things here. So you need to install it as a composer package. As you can read here, you're told Livewire is a Laravel package. So you will need to have a Laravel application app and running before you can install and use it. Yeah. So if you need help on setting Laravel project, of course, go to the Laravel documentation. So I'm going to install Livewire here using Composer. So I'm supposed to go inside Livewire. Our project is called Livewire. Let me see. Livewire like that. And then I'm going now to paste this inside, hit enter, and now install Livewire here. As you can see, the process is going on, telling me to downloading Livewire. Just a few seconds and it will be done. And so Livewire is installed. So let me just clear the terminal here. What I'm going to do, as I've told you, I'm using PHP Storm. So I'm going inside PHP Storm. I'm going to open Livewire course. So open, and I'm going inside. Let us see. I'm going inside. All right, let me just see Livewire calls this guy, and I'm going to open him with a guy PHP in a new window. All right. So once I've done that, while it's still opening, let us go back to the documentation and see what is next. So what you're going to do next, you need to add this, this asset, the style Livewire asset and Livewire script on your main layout, all right, so that anytime you extend this file you can be able to use Livewire functionality. So let us copy that. So currently, as you can see, the project is quite new, and when I go inside the resource, the view, we have only the welcome, which is not really interesting. Yeah. So anyway, for now, what I'm going to do, let's just post this Livewire on top here, styles, and then I'll go back, I'll copy the script, and I'll place this just before the closing tag for the body. So I'll just scroll down just before the closing tag for the body right here, and I'll paste this guy here. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to actually, let us remove most of these things here. Later on, we'll be able to divide this project into a well formatted layout, a well structured layout. Okay, I'm going to delete this guy here, this div here. We don't need this. We also don't need this. Let me see. So that we remain with only this div. Yeah, we can delete this for now. Let me just use an H1 here. So for this H1, I'm just going to say installed Livewire. All right, nothing fancy. And then now let us run our application. Of course, we need to run PHP artisan serve. So I'll just stop an application that I have here, which is currently running. And then I'll go inside our Livewire, I say PHP artisan serve to start our project. Go to the browser, open a new page, say localhost 8000. I run this. Yeah, and here we go. Install Livewire with one with a funny text here. So that is how you set up Livewire. In the next lesson, you're going to see, and we are going to start working with Livewire components to understand how to create components, how to pass data to components, and such stuff. And with that, bye bye. Hello guys, welcome back. And in this video, I want to show you how to create components, that is Livewire components. In the first lesson, we have looked on how to install, of course, Livewire. So without further ado, let us dive in and see how we can be able to do this. So if you can remember, so let me just go into my project here, which was Livewire course. Here everything, I'll start PHP server here, and then what am I doing? This should be PHP artisan serve. All right. So I'll open another terminal. I'll still go back into, I'll go inside the same project, ed wire course, like that. And then if you can remember what we had done in the first lesson, we had just installed LiveWire. So if we go to our browser now, let me just open this in the browser. No, we just open a new tab here, host localhost 8000, I run this. So when we run this application, of course, we have nothing installed, it's totally a new application. And when I go to Livewire website here, creating components, there are two ways of creating components. And components are basically the building blocks of Livewire application. If you have ever worked with React, with Vue, components, are like something that can be abstracted with a specific functionality, all right? Maybe a page can be a component, a button can be a component, maybe a special functionality as editing the user can be a component. Yeah, so the same thing with Vue and React, Livewire also works with component. So I'm going just to go inside my project here. So once you have installed Livewire, you'll have this artisan command, which is php artisan make Livewire, and then you can use either the camel case type to make component, or the kebab case. In case here, for example, this is the camel case and the kebab case, so whichever the one you prefer. And usually me, I prefer using the kebab case, but in our case here, we'll try to work with both. And so I'm going to create here, let us just call this test component like this. So this will create a component, and as you can see, it will tell you that it has created this folder app livewire test component, and another folder, another file inside the view. All right. So if we open our project, so now if I go inside the app here, you'll see that we have a livewire folder, and inside we have this file here, test component. All right. So, and again, another way to create a component, as I've told you, is that you can use the kebab case. In our example here, I could say something like, let us call this maybe test2. No, that is a poor name. Let us call maybe create uh, create post. All right. So what the kebab case will do is that it will create, the same file as the test component, but now it will just change this name. When you put an hyphen, that will mean is that the next name here will be concatenated to this name, but in a camel case, just as the first case here. As you can see now, again here we have create post with the same format as this test component here. So that is the first thing that you ought to know about Livewire. Let me see, why is it not loading here? Let me reload from disk here. Yeah, here we go. When you create a Livewire component, it will create these two files. Number one is it is inside the app Livewire, and the second file will be inside your resource guy here inside the view. Yeah, and now we have the Livewire folder here. If I open this folder, as you can see, we have a blade for the create post class that was created here, and we have a blade for the test component. And inside this guy, of course, there is totally nothing inside this guy. Yeah, so that is how you create components. And there's something else that I want to show you in this guy, in this lesson here, is that you can be able to create a component inside a folder. And the way you do it is, for example, here we had created this post here. So what you do here is that you use a period, or a full stop to concatenate the folder and the file that you want to create. For example, let us say I want to create a folder by the name maybe clients, all right? Or let me say maybe posts. So I just say post, and then the file will be create post. So this will create a file, create post, inside the post folder. So as you can see from this response is that now we have a folder post and the file create post. So if I go inside Livewire now, So we have the folder post with a create post inside. So the same thing goes for the camel case. So for the camel case now, what I'm going to do is very simple. So you'll put the name of the folder in the camel case. For example, let us say client like this, and then 2 forward slashes. All right, this will do the same thing that we have done up here. So if I press enter, so now as you can see, we have the client folder with the test component file inside. So now if I go to Livewire, let me just, uh, where is this thing loading? All right, we have the client folder, and inside the client folder, we have the test component. So that is how you create components in Livewire. And if you go to Livewire on your view side, as you can see now on the view side, we have the client folder and also the post folder. And inside we have the test component, and we also have the create components. So that is how you create components in Livewire. In the next lesson, we are going to see how to call these components using routes and how to pass data into these components. Hello guys, welcome back, and in this video we are going to look on how to render components. So far we have looked on how to install Livewire, how to create components, and so far we have not done anything that is tangible or even see how to interact with components. And so without further ado, let us see how we can be able to render components and maybe play around with it and see what we can be able to achieve. So what I'm going to do is that currently when I go back to my project here, I have a bunch of components here in Livewire. So I'm going to delete these because they really don't matter. They're just for the test cases. So I'm going to delete those folders and file, and I'm also going to go inside Livewire in the view section. I'm going to delete this guy also. I'm going to highlight this, and delete this. So now we remain only with a welcome view and the Livewire, the Livewire folder. So I'm going to create a new folder, and in this case I just like to work with something more interactive. Let us say we are going to create a to-do list. All right, we'll create this from the scratch to ground up. So the first thing that of course we need, as you have seen, is we need a component for to do, a component for the to-do list. All right, and the first one that I'm going to do is that I'm going just to create a simple component and maybe say list to do. So what I'm going to say, if you can remember PHP artisan make Livewire, and then the name of the component will be create to do. So if you can remember this, will create the camel case with the name create to do. Then I need a file inside known as create. Actually, let us just say like this. Let us just create a folder to do with a file inside, which is create to do. All right, like that. So this has created the two folders. Now if we go inside Livewire, in the view we have to do with the create to do file, and then if we go inside Livewire class, we have to do with the to do create to do class. So what I'm going to do currently, I'm not going to do anything fancy here. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to call this Livewire property inside the welcome, inside the welcome view. So in the welcome view, we don't have anything here. And to call a Livewire component, we simply initialize Livewire by saying Livewire like this. Then we use a full colon, and then we, the name of the folder in this case is to do like this, dot the name of the file, which is create dash to do, like so, and then you close that tag like that. So this will is just like the include. It will include the Livewire component inside the inside the welcome welcome view. So now inside the to do, I can say, let us just start here by saying, let's maybe say something like let us have an h1 here and say, what am I doing? Let us have an h1 here and say this is a to-do list. All right, this is a to-do list. And then let me just save this. Let me go to the browser and do a refresh. So if we do a refresh here, if I do a refresh here, of course, now we have the to-do list, which is centered here. So this is not much, it's not much use. What I'm going to do is that inside the create to do, or rather inside this guy here, I'm going to, this is something that I've just thought now. Let me just install Bootstrap. I'm going to say Bootstrap. Then I'm going inside the Bootstrap documentation here. All right, let's go to, this is 5.3, that is okay. Let's go to the docs. Okay, introduction. I'm going to scroll down where you're told install Bootstrap CSS JS, create a new file. So I'm just going to copy, this, going to inside my code, inside the welcome blade, I'm going on top here, inside the head, going to add Bootstrap there so that we can use Bootstrap and go back inside the body. I'm going to copy the script and go inside my code, go down to the script. I'll add the script to there. So now we have Bootstrap. All right, CDN. We have the Bootstrap CDN. So that is it. That is only what we need. And then I'm going to use, let me see what we can use here. I'm going to use, let's go and use, where is the search? Let's use a group item. Say group list. List group. Why is this not popping? List. Basic list. I'll scroll down. Yeah, I'm going to use this list group here. I'm going to copy this. I'm going back to my code. I'll go now inside our create to do guy here. I'll paste this list guy here. Nothing fancy. For now, this will say the first, maybe the first guy on this to do list will be maybe workout. All right. So like that. The second one maybe will be reading. So we'll populate this thing dynamically from the database, but this is just from the start. So I just want you to see, and then we'll say maybe coding, and lastly we can say maybe eating. All right. Like this, we remove this, the first one with IL active. Let's go back to the browser and see what it will give us now. Guy here, I'll do a refresh. So of course, when I do a refresh, we have this here. It doesn't look really good, that pretty. And that is because maybe we can do some bit of editing here. If I go back to, let's see, to the welcome page, just close this. If I go here, max with what I can do, let me see. What we can do is that we can remove these classes here and say this should be class, maybe container. Let's say container for now. Inside we can have another div, and this can be class row. plus row like that, and then we can move our guy inside here. Move our guy inside here. Then if I go back to the create guy here, I can just pass a class here, just say call, let's say for now 8. All right, plus I want this to take 8 columns. Then maybe something else we can do here is on the row you can say justify content center. Then let's go back. Let's do a refresh and see now how it will look. So now we have something like this. It looks much better, but the background, all right. I think for now the background, by this background. Okay, for now let us just work with it because we're focusing on Livewire. We'll do the styling later. So what I'm going to do here, just to show you that Livewire works, I'm going to initialize a property here. This we are going to do in the next lesson, but for now I just want to show you that Livewire works. I'll just say public, and then I just say maybe task is equals to running. Maybe I'll just initialize. So once you initialize a public property on the Livewire class, you can access this property direct on the Livewire components on the view side. So here I can just have maybe a paragraph here, and I can say this is of course task, and then maybe I can say this is an extra task from Livewire. So now if I go to the browser here and do a refresh, as you can see now we can be able to access Livewire here, which is right here running. So the next thing I want to show you is that how you can render full page components. Currently what you're doing, you are rendering, this is like an inline component. So let us say you want to create a full page component. So I'm going to create a full page component. All right. By a full page component, I mean a component which you can call using the routes, all right? And you will not call it inside another Laravel blade file. So I'm just going to create, in this case, I'll call this, let us make this to be, maybe to be the edit guy. So I'm going to say edit guy like this, all right? Edit to do. Of course, this will create two files inside, one inside the to do here and another inside the view. So to make a full page component, what you need to do is that you need to go inside the to do, and now you need to tell Livewire if which file this page or this class of Livewire will extend. In our case here, I'll say that I want this guy to extend, to extend our guy who is welcome, all right? Welcome. So that is the welcome blade. And now what I'm going to do inside the blade here, I'm going to just use what we call the slots. So the slots is like the yield, if you have used Laravel, of course, you know the yield. So the content that I'll pass in the component, when I extend it, it will replace this slot guy here. All right, like this. So now inside this guy here, when I say extends, that is enough. And now even now a guy create, now what you need to do, you need to say that it will extends and will extend welcome like this. And now if I go to, let us go to our web our web file here where we have defined the routes. So I can comfortably define a route here. Let us say maybe it's a get route, and I can say maybe the name of this route will be create task, and of course this will call now the create task, the create to do, the create to do class here. So I like importing them like this. So I can do this import, all right. Then I can just duplicate this and say now we'll have also the edit, which will go to edit, edit to do like this. So we have this. Let me import this first here, move this, import this, and then inside the blade for the edit, I'll just put an h1 for now and say this is for editing to do, something of that sort. So now I expect when I go now to the it should be slash create task and edit task, it should redirect me to different, to different views. So now let us try this and see. I'll go to create task like that. So now when I go to create task, I get this error and define variable slots. For now, what we can simply do, we can just use the normal yield. You can say at yield, and the guy that I'll pass here is content, the normal Laravel. I'll go to do here. I'll say I'll extend that file, and I want to use the section which is known as content. All right. The same on create to do here. I'll do like this. I'll say I want to use the section known as content like that. I'll save that. I'll go back. I'll do a refresh. And now it works. All right. So now when I go to create task, we have a full page component, work, reading, coding, and let us go to edit task. And now we have the h1. This is this is for editing to do, and that is how, guys, you create, you render components both as an inline component or as a full page component, whereby you call the components using the routes. In the next lesson, we are going to see now how to interact with properties, how to initialize them, how to pass data, and make, and to avoid this thing that you see currently when I go to, for example, to create task, the page is reloading. We are going to see how we can be able to convert this even to a single page application. So with that, guys, I hope you have learned something, and as usual, leave a like, subscribe, and until we meet, bye bye. Hello, guys, welcome to lesson 4 of our LiveWire course. And today my voice is not good and also my camera is not good, but nonetheless we'll keep on going. So in this course, lesson 4, we are going to look on how to pass data into the components, all right, LiveWire components. And so far we have a little bit of just editing and formatting. I've shown you how to create components, how to call components, or how to render inline and both the full page components. So far when I go to, actually we don't need this welcome page here because we are not using it anymore. So let me just go and see, rather we don't need that route. So if I go to the browser now and I say slash create task like this will take us to this page where we have just a list of tasks. And of course, what I realize is that if I go now again to edit task, we have this just text here. So what I realize is that, number one, if we go to create task, we need a form here, of course, to create the task and not this list. So I'm going to bootstrap and I'm going to copy a form here. So we'll go to, where is this? I want to go to the docs, and here I want to go to scroll down. I'll go to form. Let's check for overview here. Yeah, scroll down. Yeah, I think we can just use this first one here. So I'm going to copy this instead. I'm going inside my Livewire here. I'm going inside the create. I'm going inside the create to do. And what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to paste this inside this div here, and then I'm going to cut this list here like this. I'm going to remove this checkbox like this. I'm going to rename this. Let's say maybe the to-do list will have maybe the name and the description. So I'm going to rename this to maybe name. All right. The input will be text, of course. Class from control ID will be name. We don't need this for now. And then let me see what else do we need here. All right, let me just remove this. The next one will be description. Label for description. This will be label for name. And then the ID will be description, like that. The type will be text, like that. And then the submit button, that is enough for now. And then I'm going to create now the component for listing, the to do. So I'm going to say PHP artisan Livewire. We are going to say, what am I doing here? Should be make Livewire, and I'm going to say this should be to do the folder dot create dash task, or rather it should be list tasks. All right, so that has been created. So I'm going inside my Livewire. We have now a list guy here. I'm going to extend our guy here. Extends. Going to say welcome, like that. Say section. I'm going to call this to be content. So if you can remember, we are just extending the welcome page, and we are using the content section. So I'm going inside list here now, paste the guy that I copy pasted here. I believe we had a class here, and a class of column 8, like that. That should be good. And now also for edit, I'm going to copy this guy because they will be pretty much similar. I'm going to edit guy. I'm going to paste this guy here, and that should do. And then I need to go now to the web. I need now to create the list task route, and this will go to list task, like that. I'll remove this, and then I'll import this. All right, so now we have our create, edit, and list components. So now if I go, let's go to our browser now and see here. So do a refresh here. So now we have the name and the description. If I go to edit task, again we have the name and the description. And if I go to list, is it tasks or what? Let me just confirm this first. It should be tasks, list tasks, not list task. All right, now we have our list, and that is what I wanted. So the next thing that I'm going to do now, This is where I introduce you to passing data to components. And we are going to see this in detail as we progress. If you remember, I say that components can be called as inline components or as full page components, all right? So for example, if I want to pass data, let us use, for example, now I want to navigate from the list task to the edit task, all right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a very simple example here. So I'm going inside the list task and I'm going to, let us create a variable here. For example, let us call this maybe public task. This is just a variable here. And I'm going to use an array here. And this array, I'm going to have the name, let's say maybe coding, and the description, let us say maybe PHP, all right? So this should be an array. So I'm passing an array of tasks inside this tasks variable here so that I can call it and display it on the listing task page. All right, we'll do this dynamically after adding this data to the database. So let me add two more like this. So let us say we have coding, we have working out, and here description maybe 20 push-ups, and here maybe we have cooking, maybe cake, something of that. So this is the list of the tasks that I'm going to do I'm going to do this day. So when you declare a variable, on a LiveWire class, this variable will be publicly available to the view side, all right? So when I go to the view side for this list task, I'm able to use this task as so it is already available here, all right? So when I go now to this page, I can simply do a for loop here using the normal blade, the normal blade for each. So I can say for each tasks, all right, as task, all right. Then I can end the for each here. I can say end for each like this, all right. And then here now I can pass, the normal Laravel stuff. I can just say task. I want to get the name, all right. Something of this sort. I believe this should work okay. So I don't need all these other guys now like this. And maybe let us say you want to add maybe a space here, like this. And maybe the task, I believe it is description like this. Let's go and confirm that description, yeah. So now I'm looping through the task and displaying it. So if I've done that correctly, that should be okay. Let me just refresh this and see. So when I run this, when I refresh this, the error I'm getting, and that is because I believe this is stupid. I should have used an array. Instead I used an object call here like this. So this should be fine. That now I believe should work. Let's try this again and see. All right, now when I refresh the code, we have this list here: coding, PHP, working out, 20 push-up, cooking, cake. So that is how you can be able to get data from from the class of a Livewire into the view of a Livewire. And something else I wanted to show you is that now, let us say, for example, I have a button here. We are going to edit this, so don't worry. I'm going to add a button here, for example. Let us use an href, right? An href, for example, now, and let us say this href will take maybe, let us say there's a route. I like using route names called edit task, and that edit task will expect maybe a task and we'll pass here maybe an ID. All right. So now if I go to web here, to a route here, I can just do something like this and say that this guy now here will expect maybe an ID. All right. And then now I can give it a name of, say, route, let's say edit task, like that. This should be named not route. So if I go back here, so when someone clicks this, it will navigate to this route here and it will pass this data ID. So of course we need to add that data to our list task here. So for now I'm going to just to say ID for this guy is going to be 1, ID for the second guy here is going to be, say, 2, and this third guy for now, let's say his ID is going to be 3, right? So if I go to who's guy, where is this guy? Web, we have the name edit task. If I go back here, we have the name edit task. That is okay. So let us do a refresh here again. Of course, I need to add maybe a label here to this and say maybe this should be edit, something of that sort, and then refresh this again. All right, so currently we have this stupid guy here, this wonderful UI. I love this UI, it's so fantastic. So when I hover here, as you can see, it will go here down. You can see it will go to edit 1. When I hover here, it go edit 2, edit 3. So let us try and click. Currently, of course, it goes here, but we don't have a way to capture this data. But you see, it navigates to edit task. So by that I'll be passing this data to to the second component, which is the edit task. So now when I go to this edit to do here I can be able to get that that data that I'm passing through the route. Is I can say public, and there is a mount method which is used to receive data passed through components. All right, so anytime you pass data to a component, whether directly or through the route, you can use this mount method. All right, so I can say here, for example, I can say now on our edit, I can have a public ID value here. All right, and inside here I can say that this ID that I'm having in this class should be equal to an ID that will be coming from from another route. So I expect an ID here, right? And here I can simply say that my ID will be set to the ID that has been passed here. And of course, now when I go to edit to do here, for now I can just echo my ID here. I can just say, hey, I want to see this ID that has been passed. All right. So let me just recap so that you guys might be able to understand. So what I'm doing here is that in the list task, I'm looping through each task and I have an edit, route here, and I pass this data edit. And when I go to the web route, of course, I'm receiving this data as a binded parameter here on the route, and then I'm passing it to this edit to do. And on the edit to do, I'm receiving that data to the mount method. So the mount method will always is like a constructor, is the first method to run before the component has been rendered. And once I get that data, I assign it to this data, and then of course I display it here. So let us do a refresh here, and then you can be able to see what will happen here. So I'll go back to create to list task here, and then now I'll click edit, and when I click edit, it navigates here, and as you can see we have this value 1 here. So if I go back here and I click edit for this second guy here, you can see we have 2, which means that data is getting to the edit component here. If I click for the cooking cake, and now we have edit 3 here. So with that alone, we have been able to see how to pass data to the components. This lesson is a little bit longer, so I think I can end it there and then continue to the on the next lesson. Hello guys, welcome back, and in this video I want to continue, and particularly in this video I want to show you again how to pass data through inline components. All right, we have seen generally how to pass data through the routes, but now I want to show you how you can be able to pass data through components, and that is through inline option. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a small component here for the sake of showing you this, and then I'm going to delete that component. So let's call this component maybe let's call this component test, because I'm going to delete it straight away. So like this, then I'll go to the code here. I have my component here, which is test. Then if I scroll down to the view, inside the resources, the view, LiveWire, we have test here. So I want to call test inside the, let us say I'm going to call it inside the list task, just for the sake of testing. So if you can remember, I showed you guys how to call inline component, yeah, when you are starting this component thing. So going inside here, let me just scroll like this. So inside here, I'm going to say LiveWire, and then I'm going to say I need to pass the name of the folder, and the name of the our guy is test. All right, and so to pass data to this test component, if you are just passing static data, let us say maybe I want to pass maybe a static name by the name, let us say description. So I can just say description like this in quote, and then I can just say this is equal to maybe is a to do list. All right, I think this should be double quotes. And then now to accept this data, you'll go inside the test class here component, and if you can remember, the same way we use the public mount to accept data from from the route, is the same way we'll use this guy to accept that data, right? So in our case here, we're going to accept a guy by the name description. All right, and this description we are going to assign to maybe an internal description property here. So I'm going to say public description like this. I'm going to say here that our guy description, this description should be equal to the description that has been passed here. All right, and now we can comfortably use now the description inside our test guy here. So here I can just have let us say a paragraph for now, and just echo the description there, for example. Yeah, all right. So what I've done here is very simple, very basic. Inside the list task, I'm calling the to do component, I'm passing this description, and inside the test component, I'm passing this description thing here, and inside the test class, I'm getting it from the mount function, passing it to the description property, and then using it on the description. So let us try and refresh this and see if this will throw any error. So I'll just say list task refresh. Expect to see the description down on this list task, all right? Tasks. All right, I do not see the description. And the reason is because I did a silly mistake here. If I go to the documentation, I'm not supposed to put quotation there. So let's go back and rectify that. All right. So I don't need to do this and I don't need to do this. All right. I think that is why this thing was screaming here. So let us try to do a refresh here again. And now we have our description here. This is a to-do list. All right. And so that is how you pass static data. And let us say if I want to pass dynamic data, and then I need to use this full colon here, and then the dynamic data will go here, all right? And I'll need to pass using this dollar sign here like this. So in our case here, I'm going to move this to the edit. I believe the edit to do here will do fine. And the reason why I'm doing that is because if I pass this thing right here, currently, I do not have any way to loop through this data dynamically and return the ID. So that is something else. But for now, we just want to show you. So on the edit, if you remember on the edit to do, we have this dynamic data that is being passed from the list task here. So on the edit, I can be able to comfortably get this ID from the class. All right, so I'm passing this data dynamically to the to do and expect it to maybe show me this data dynamically. All right, so if I go, let me actually just add some description here and say this is the ID so that you can see this change. And then let me just save all here. So I'll go back here to list task. I'll do a refresh here. All right. And then now I'll click this. You see, it takes me to the edit and say this is the ID one. If I go back and then I click this, it takes me to the edit and say this is the ID two. So it means this data is being passed dynamically to this to do test here. And so that is how, guys, you pass data through the route or through inline components, whether static data, whether bounded route parameters, or even dynamic data. So with that, guys, I believe this brings us to an end with this lesson of passing data through components. In the next lesson, we are going to look at how now to work with properties, how to bind properties to inputs, and how now to enjoy and see the full power of LiveWire. With that, goodbye, and let us meet in the next lesson. Hello, guys, welcome back. And in this lesson, we are going to see how to to bind parameters and get them from the inputs, and generally how to insert them into the database. So if I go to our guy here, the create to do, of course, if I go to the view side, we need to have the name and the description. So I'm going to create those going to create those models. Say PHP artisan, normal Laravel stuff, make model, and they call this to do. So I'm also going to create the migrations here and say PHP artisan make migration, create, what am I doing? Create to do's table, not to do. So once I have the migration and the model, let us just go now inside our database guy, migrations. Inside here, of course, we need the name and the description. So we have the ID. So I'll duplicate this very fast like this. And this will should be string, I believe. And then here we'll have the name. Also this one for now, just use string. Then we'll have the name and then the timestamp, that is okay. We'll go to the models, I'll go inside to do. I'll say, let us use fillable. And then I'll say I'll have the name. Then we'll have the description like that. And we are good for now. All right. right, this should be description. So like that, and then I'll just migrate this table very fast here. CLS PHP artisan migrate. Let me actually change the name of the database in .env. Change this to to-dos like that, and migrate this database. The database to-do does not exist. Yes, I want to create this. All right, running migrations. Yeah, we are good. So now, if I go now to the create, where is it? Let's go to the create to do. So now we need to have two properties here, and the first one, of course, is the name. All right, need the property name, and we also need the property description. This is the data that will be going to the database. All right, and then now we also need a method now that will save this data to the database. So I'll call this method public function save. So method in LiveWire are known as actions. So what this thing will do is that it will get our to-do model. You see to-do model, all right? And of course, we'll create some data here. This will be like this. And we want to say that the name that will pass there will be the name from our class, all right? This name like this. And we want also to say our description here, or rather the description that will be passed the database will be from this class. So that is why we're using this name here and this description here, and that will suffice for now. So we'll add the validation, the pagination, all those things will work with them later, but for now this is okay. Even the alert for telling us that we have added the data to the database. So the name and the description. So now the way you bundle or you bind this name and description to the input is that now if you have used view, in view we have the model or the view model, whatever. So in LiveWire we have this thing known as wire model, all right? So I'll just say wire model like this, and then the name, of course, is name here. So what this will do is that it will bind this input to the property name. So the same thing here, I'll say wire model, and this will be description. So let me just show you what I mean here. Description misspelled here. So I'll just echo for now. I'll just use a paragraph here and just echo let's say we'll echo the name and then the description here, so that you see this is a live update here. So description like this. So now if I go to our create here, so if I type the name here, it's not updating, and that is because I'm not doing a live update here. So to do a live update, maybe I can just add this guy.live here, and this will bind this data reactively, in a live sense. So every time I type here, it will update this data behind the scene. So let us try again and see. Yeah, see, now it works. All right, so if I remove this, if I say here description, see, now we have this. If I say here just some silly stuff, now we have this guy here, the name and the description. Now what that means is that we are getting this data on the create guy here. All right, this data is reaching here because that is what we are displaying right here. So it means that this data is binded. All right, so the next thing we need to do is, of course, we need to say when you're submitting this data. So we use wire submit. We say when you're submitting this data, submit like this. When you're submitting this data, we want to call a method, and this method is save, all right? And also method, to specify the method here, post. And I also like just adding this CSRF. I think LiveWire does this behind the scene, but for now, just do that. Method post, and when you do a submit, call this action or method known as save. And all this does is that it will store the to do. So let us try this and see. Let us use something that makes sense. Let us say, for example, reading, and description will be reading the 5-second rule. The 5-second rule. I'll submit this. All right, nothing happens, but if I go to the database, I do a refresh here, and now we have the data here, the 5-second rule, reading. So it means it is working. So you see the beauty of LiveWire. I'm not being redirected, nothing. The form is being submitted, the data is being submitted, and just right here, it's like you're working with Ajax, and but very minimal code. So that is how we bind parameters. So if you want to bind parameters, let me recap again. We use this wire model, and if you want to do a live update, we do .live. And if you want to submit the data, we use wire submit, and then the method post, and then here we need, of course, to create that method, which is save, and then create pass data to the database. And that is it, guys, on how to bind properties, to the inputs. And with that, bye bye, and let us meet on the next lesson. Hello guys, welcome back. And in this video, I want us to see how to add validation in LiveWire, all right? How to add validation in LiveWire. In LiveWire, there is two ways to add validation. Number one is you add validation directly to the properties, and number two, you can use the rules method or the rules action to add validation. We'll see both. So for now, let us start with the action one or the method one. So you define a method by the name or a function rules, all right? And then these rules, guys, has to return an array, all right? And inside here, you will specify the validation that you want. So in our case, I'll just say that I want the name, in our case here, to be required, like that. That is enough for now. And also the description to be required. So the normal Laravel validation, then of course we need to do this. And then now inside your method that you are saving data, you need to call this validate internal LiveWire action or method that is used to validate the data that you want to save, all right? And of course, now when I go to the create to do, here now I need to pass, or I need to specify if there is any error. So I'll use the normal Laravel error. So if we have error by the name, then I'll say at end error. Of course, here I can say now I want to pass a paragraph, and I want to have a class here. Maybe let us say it will be text danger. I believe there's something like that, and then it will be text extra small, and maybe padding top I can give it maybe 2. All right, so I'll copy this, and of course here we need to display the message from the error. All right, so like that. And then also I'll go down here, I'll paste this guy here, and this ought to be description, and here I'll do like this, and of course we'll display the message. So I'll do like that. So let us refresh our code and see what it will give us here. So we have our code here. So close this and submit this data. If now we submit, so you see now it throws this error. The name field is required. The description field is required. All right. So this is really nice, and this is a live validation. It doesn't reload the page. And for example, if I type something here, you submit. So now we have the description field is required. And if I say I'm misspelling walking, this is funny. Say description maybe take a walk around the beach. And submit this. Now the error is gone. That is because I've provided the data. So when I go to the database, we have now the description here. So that is the first way you can validate your data. So the second way is that when you go inside here, what I like doing is that when I have maybe just two public properties and not much data, you can use this, just say hashtag and then you say validate, and then you pass rounded bracket, and then you just pass the required guy now inside here. So required like this, can just copy this and just paste this guy here. Okay, and then now we don't need this rules method. All right, so what I usually do is that maybe I have 2 or 3 variables or even 5. I usually just use this this validate guy here instead of using the method, because I think it is much cleaner. So if I go back to the code now, if I do a refresh here, so now if I try to submit, this will do the same thing. It will validate this data the same way. Yeah, you see, now we have validation. And so guys, that is how you add validation to Livewire, right? So with that, let us meet on the next lesson. Hello guys, welcome back to this LiveWire course, and in this lesson specifically I want us to look on now again to pass data on edit, and I want us to make it more lively. We haven't done anything on the edit page, but we have done on create page. So I want us to see how we can be able to pass data and be able to edit the data that is in the database. So what I'm going to do first is that I'm going to let me actually copy this, because currently when we go to the initial route is returning not found, which is not good. So I'll just say that if I go to the initial page, I want you to go to list task. Actually, let me just copy this. I'm too lazy for that, and then I'll just paste that here. So that is okay. So now what I want is that when I go to, where is our guy here, on the list task, currently what we are doing is that we are getting this data, using this simple for each year. And what I want now is that when I go inside LiveWire class inside the list task, I want now to get this data from the database. I don't want to continue to render this data like this. So what I'm going to do, for now, what we can do, we don't need to create a public property. What we can do, we can just do the normal Laravel stuff. And here is I'm going to say call, let us say, a variable to do's like this, and I'm going to equate this to do, and I'm going to call everything here. Later, even in this course, we'll be able to use pagination and stuff like that, but for now this is okay. So let me use compact. I prefer this guy, compact, and then I just pass to-dos like this. So our data will be, okay, what is this? Spelling error. So now our data to-dos here will be passed to our list task, and now instead of using task here, we can just use to-dos as to do, and then instead of to do like this, we can now use the object notation like this, and then like this, and then like that. And then here, of course, we are going to pass now the ID like this, and of course this need to be to do not task. Replace this very fast here like that and like that, and now we are good to go. So if I go back here and do a refresh, of course we have only one task in the database, so that is what I expect to see here. And as you can see now, we have this one task here, right, which is okay. So what I'm going to do is that we'll pass the alert later. For now, what I want is that when someone has created this that I want to redirect, so I can use the normal return redirect like that. Direct, let me use route, and here, okay, let us pass route here and say we'll call this to-dos dot index. Let us call that list task like that, and I'll go inside the web, and then we have this guy here, just say name, then I'll paste that there. So if we go to list task, we have create task. We're going to create this task. Okay, let us try to create this and see. And now when I do a refresh here on the create task, let us try and create here test 3. Let us say test 3. Let us submit this. All right, it creates the task and redirect us to the list task. And that is what we exactly wanted. So here I put this, I done something like this. It wasn't supposed to be there. It was supposed to be redirect route. I don't know why I forgot that. But that is okay. But now when we go to the list task guy here, where is it here? So now we are redirecting to the edit task and we are passing the to-do ID. And if I go to the web.php here, we are getting this ID. And of course, if I go inside the mount for the edit to do, we are getting this ID. So what we can do actually is that we can use route model binding, the normal route model binding that we use on Laravel, and then we can see that instead of ID we are going to use to do. All right, and so the to do that will be passed from the mount function will be equated to this to do here. All right, so now I need to change on the web, I need to change this ID instead to be to do. All right, like this, that will do. And then if I go back to the edit to do now, I need also now to say this. Of course, we have the name, and the name, of course, will be from the to do that we have passed here, and say that it will be the name, and also we have the description, right? So what we are simply doing here is that we are setting the values for this, for this form using these to do values. All right, so when I go now to the edit to do here, since I've binded those values, I can now comfortably say that I'm going to use wire model here, and I'm going to use, let us say, live is equals to name, and then down here I'm going to say wire model dot live, and this is going to be description like that. And then of course we need to wire submit this form, so I'm going to wire submit. And when I submit this form, I want to call an action by the name update. All right. I also like just adding the method post here and also the at srf token like that. And then the last thing that we need, of course, to do is also to add we need also to add the errors here. So I'm going to pause to add that very fast. Actually, let me just copy paste from this guy. I'm going to type everything here, go back here, I'll paste here, go back here, I'll copy this guy, go back to the edit, and go, as it, go down here, and I'm going to paste that here. So we have that description and name. And now if I go to edit, we also need now the public. We also need the public name, of course, here. And we also need the public description, of course. So I'm going to say description very fast. And we also need to, to hashtag validate. So now this seems, it should be now familiar to you. I'm going to say required like that, copy this very fast. I'm going to paste here. And then now, of course, we need the update function, all right? So we need to call the public function update. And in this update guy, since we have a to-do guy here, and when we initialize the mount function, we are setting this to do. So we can simply say this, our to-do guy here, we'll call the update function here now, right? Because this is a Laravel collection, and then we'll do what we'll say that our name will be the name that will be passed, of course, which has been binded, all right? And our description here will also be the description which has been binded from the inputs. So anytime the user updates the input will be bounded to these inputs, all right? And if I've done everything correct, I believe this should work fine. So that is it. So let me recap again. On the list task here, I pass the ID. When I go to web, I route bound, I bound the model from the route. And then when I go to edit, I get this value here as to do. Then I assign it to do, the name I get from the to do that has been passed, the description, and this, of course, they are bounded to this input. So those values will appear there, and when someone do an edit, those value will be used to update this value by calling this update function that we have inside the to do this guy here. So if I go back here, so something else we can do is that we can forgot to add this validate. We need to validate, of course, and of course, lastly, what we can do is to return redirect. And I'm going to redirect route. This route is going to be to-dos dot index. I believe that is the name that I gave the list guy. Where is it? To-dos dot index. All right. So let us save this, do a refresh, and try to see if this works. So I'll refresh here, and then I'll click on this. It takes me, and you see the values are set. This is wonderful. So let us say test edited. Let's say this is description. Let's go edited, and then I'll submit this. Yeah, it redirects me back here, and we have test edited, description edited. Let's try this also. Let's put this to be test 56, maybe this to be maybe desk 56. I'm just doing dummy data here. I submit this data, and there we go. So that is how we we pass data through components and how we are able to edit and redirect. All right, and that is it, guys, for this lesson. I hope you have learned something, and until we meet in the next lesson, bye bye. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And in this lesson we are going to look on wire navigate. So wire navigate is a feature in livewire that gives you a feeling of a single page application, the same way you navigate through pages in Vue, React without reloading the pages. And that is what we are going to look at in this lesson. So it's going to be a pretty short lesson, but without further ado, let us dive in and see how to do this. So currently, when I navigate to the home page or the list page, this is the look that I have, and I just want to do some small, formatting here so that at least it looks a bit well. So what I'm going to do is that I'll go to our list group here. I believe there is something known as deflects in Bootstrap, and also we can justify content between, all right? So that should space the content evenly in this list element. And then let us have a span here. And then what I can do is that I can move this guy. Let's copy this guy. I can move the description and the name inside of a span, and then this can remain like that. Actually, let us have two span like this, and then the second span will have an edit guy here like this, and then maybe you can add a button. And this, okay, let us just add let us add a button. A button is okay, and this button will have a class. We'll say btn danger. They say btn dash sm. So let me just copy this again. I'll use for this navigation anchor here, say class. I'll paste that here. For this, I'll say btn. Let us say success. Let us highlight this. Save everything here. Now, if I go to our guy here, let us refresh and see what we see here. All right, and that is what we see. And of course, this btn danger, we don't have in anything here. We can say delete. All right, and see. All right, let us go back here, do a refresh again, and there we go. It looks much better. It looks pretty much better. All right, that is wonderful. So what I want now to show you is that when you click on this guy here, on this edit guy, you see it reloads the page before it goes to edit task, and we want to rectify this using the wire navigate. So the wire navigate is very simple. You use it on the anchor tag or the link that you want to navigate. You just say wire navigate, and by saying this, it will navigate without doing a full page refresh. So let me just refresh here again. And now if I click edit, kindly check up here, you see this page loader here on top here that is loading, and it navigates. Beautiful, right? So if I go back, let me just show you. If I click here, there's a page loader on top here, and then navigates. All right. If I go back again, let us try this. If I click this, and then it navigates. So what happens is that when you add the wire navigates, the wire navigate LiveWire will add that page loader on top of the page when you click or when you try to navigate to some other part of the application, and then it will also not reload the page. So if you can notice, if I click this edit guy here, you will notice that the page doesn't reload. It just shows the page loader and then navigates to another page. So that is how you add wire navigate, and you can use it to create a feeling of a single page like application. So with that, guys, I think for now this is okay, and then we can continue in the next lesson. Hello guys, welcome back, and in this video we are going to look at Livewire alert. So far we have built this to do up, and we are able to create, we are able to edit, we are able to list. I want us in this lesson to look on how to add an alert. All right, some beautiful alert that when I submit the data, when I edit the data, when I delete the data, whatever, I'm being able to see an alert, and then I can know what has happened. So with that, I'm going to search here. I'm going just to say Livewire alert, right? And then this take a minute. All right, I'll go with this guy here. Yeah, so when I go to this package here, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can check it yourself. I found this to be interesting as compared to others, to be more efficient. So to install, I'm just going to copy this guy. I'm going to my project right here. Let's do this. I'm going to paste this guy here. As the package installs, I'm going just to take you through. So you have to make sure that you have the Livewire script. After the Livewire script, you'll add these two lines here, all right? The suite alert and this other line here. Yeah, they say suite allowed to is not included by default, so make sure you include it before the alert script. So you'll include this, and then you can also manually include the script. We don't want to do this thing manually, we just do this recommended way. And once you have done that, that is it. You can be able to use an alert like this, and then you can be able to see the alert. So let us check out this and see. And so now the plugin or the package is installed. So let's go back to our guy here. So we need to copy these two guys here and go to our code. So once I open the project, we have our Livewire scripts on the web, on the welcome page. I believe this is where we have our Livewire script. So here we are going to paste it down here. All right, and that's all. Once we have done that, we are ready to go. Actually, that is it. And then now we need to go inside our guys on the Livewire classes here. Start with creating to do. We need to import what is it called? We need to import a trait here. Use Livewire alert like that. You see the import has been imported here. And then now once the user says data here, we can just say this alert like that. Then we say success. That is the type of the alert that we earned, and we want to say to do created successfully. All right, like that. So that is it for that. Edited. Also, we are going to use that inside here. What is this? We need to do that. Need to do that. Say to do updated successfully, and then let me see. For now, that is all that we need. Of course, here we need to use the Livewire alert. Use the Livewire alert like that, and we are good to go. So let us do a refresh and see how this will appear on our guy here. Where is it here? Let's do a refresh. All right, let us go to /create task, and we need to create a button that will be redirecting us to this create task, so that we don't have to every time to type /create task. It doesn't look good. So I'm going to say that today I'm going swimming and say swimming in the ocean. All right, let me submit this. Now what you see that alert that appears there. Let's go to edit. Really beautiful. And now I say walking, take a walk around the house, and then I submit. Look at that alert up there, so beautiful. All right, so that is how, guys, you add an alert to Livewire, and let us meet in the next lesson. Hello guys, welcome back, and in this lesson I want us to build a Livewire search and to explore events in Livewire. So far we haven't touched on events, and we have not done anything interesting in the line of searching and querying data dynamically. So we want to build a search in this lesson, and yeah, without further ado, let us dive in and see how to do this. So I'll go to our code here in the list task. All right, so of course what we need to do here, where we are listing our task, of course we need, number one, we need an input here. We need an input here that we'll use for our search. Let me just go to Bootstrap and copy this Bootstrap, and I'll just copy from there. That will be quite fast rather than me creating that. Too lazy for that. And technology was just built for, yeah, for enjoying. So why should I have to type again HTML, right? So let us look for input. Input, basic example, input groups. Let's look for this one here, input groups. Let me just scroll up here. I'm going to copy this one here. This one looks fine. Let's copy this one, go back to our code, top here. I'm just going to paste that there. Voting button, margin, right? That is fine. And then what I'm going to say, I believe there is width, is it 100? Yeah. So let us refresh this and see. Do a refresh here. So this is our input. It doesn't really look good here. So we need to place some, I removed margin, bottom should be 2. Let's go back, do a small refresh here. So we have some margin here. Let's put maybe 4. I don't think 2 is okay. Let's put 4, and this will be search, the label, and then this will be search. I'll copy this, I'll replace the ID. The placeholder will be search by name and description, and that is okay for now. And then from control, yeah, let's do a save and see this. Let's go back, let us refresh this. Yeah, that looks pretty much good. All right, for our search input for now, this is okay. We don't need something really complex. This is okay. So what we are going to do now is that I'm going to introduce you to Livewire events, all right? And events, they are just used to, like the JavaScript events, the Vue events, whereby you fire an event and then you have listeners on the other side, which they will listen to the event. And if something happens or this event occur, the listeners will respond by doing something, all right? So the way you fire up an event from an input, in this case, I want that when the user is typing and he has done or he has released the key, that is the key up event, then I want to send to fire up an event with this search data. So I'm going to say wire dot key up, so that is the event, all right, dot key up, and I want to dispatch. That is how you dispatch an event in Livewire. And in this case, I want our event to have the name by known as search, all right? So anytime the user will press the the keys and leave it, then it will fire this event search. But in our case, also I want to do what we call a debounce. All right, a debounce is I don't want this thing to do to be continuously fired, or this event to be continuously fired. I want some delay when the user has released the key, so that we do not have many queries being sent to the database which might not return the correct result that you want. And debounce will help you to do that. So I'll say debounce 100 milliseconds. So what this means is that anytime the key has been released, it will delay for 100 milliseconds before creating or dispatching this event. So that is it. And again, we need now to wire model this input. I believe you remember wire model. We need to wire model this input uh, to a variable known as search. If you can remember, that will do. Okay, I'm seeing an error. Why is this? Okay. Mhm. All right, I haven't closed it here. I need to do that. Yeah, so we need to wire model, and we need to wire key up the bounce for 100 milliseconds. Will create or dispatch this event by the name search. And that is all that we need to do in our case here. So the next thing that we need to do is that we'll go to our list task here, class, and I want to listen to that event. And what happens is that when that event fires, I want to listen to it on the list task class. And the way you listen to event is using this hashtag, then you say on. That is when something happens, and in our case is the search that happens, then call this render method. All right. When search occurs in the blade side, then call this render method. And of course, the first thing that we need to do, we need to have our search guide that we binded, and our search guide should be declared here. And then inside, before we render or refresh the UI, we need to check if our guy here, if our guy search is empty. All right, so we need to ensure that our guy is not empty. So I'll just say this what am I doing here, search. And if our guy is not empty, then do what? And then proceed. And the next thing that we need to do, of course, we need now to say we need a query builder. This is now normal Laravel stuff. I'll say to do is equal to do. I just build a query by saying order by, for example, and I'll say, believe it is desk. All right. What am I doing here? Desk. This. So I need to order by desk, and this should be created. Let's do this. I want to order created underscore art by descending order, so that we have the latest to-do list on top. All right. And now inside here, we need to say that once we have this query builder, we need to say to do. Since this is a query builder, we can still chain where. All right. Where, and we want where the name is like. All right, is like, and then we'll use our guy here percentage, and then we'll say it's like this search, like that. Or where, we can also add or where now, or where, I believe it's like so. Then you can just copy this guy, paste him here, and now it is the description, like that. So we are getting the query builder ordered by descending order of the created art. Then we are querying where the name is equal to the search, or where the description is equal to the search. Then after that, now we can just say We can just say now here to do, and we can just call the get method like this. For now, this should suffice and should create a beautiful search in our case here. So anytime I need to import this on here. So anytime the user types something on search, it will do a search behind the scene, and and re-render this UI. So let us try and see if we have any errors. I'll do a refresh here now. So it seems to have an error here. Create art, that should be created at, let us silly mistake. Let us do a refresh again here. So that is it. So let us try and type swimming. You see now it filters. This is really beautiful, all right? So now if I clear this, it returns all the data, and that is because if there is no data here, if there is no search, then it will return this query builder, all right? It will bypass this if, and in our case here, it will return all the data. But if there is a search, then it will use this query builder and return only the search from the input. So if I say, for example, test, you see it returns only the guys with test. But if I say test 3, now this guy returns the one with test 3. And if I delete this, it returns everything. If I say walking, it returns this walking guy. And if I delete, now it returns everything. So far this is beautiful, and in the next lesson I want us to see now how we can be able to add a loader, how we can be able to fire a loader while it is searching, so that we don't show everything while it is searching, but rather a loader. That is it for this lesson. Let us meet in the next lesson where we'll see how to build a loader. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and in this lesson I want to show you how to add the LiveWire spinner or a custom spinner, so that when you do a search here, for example, if I want to say swimming like this, it will show a loader rather than leaving the user to guess what is happening behind the scenes, so that the user knows that it is processing data and is waiting for a response. And with that, I'll go to Bootstrap here and go to Bootstrap and search for spinner. It will bring this up, and I'll just use the first one here. In our case, I'll just go inside my code now, and inside my code I'll go to the list task, and just before the UL or the unordered list, I'll paste this guy here. And what we need to do is that let me just remove this first. What we need to do now is that I need to create a new div and put my spinner inside the div like that. And then I need to put a class for this top div, and make it to be a row, and also justify this should be content center, so that will center the spinner, and I don't think we need this loading. So now if I go back to the browser and I do a refresh here, let us see what we'll have here. So now we have a spinner that is loading and it is centered. But now what we want is that we want to show this spinner only when data is loading, and you can do that using wire loading. All right, and then we want to hide this spinner when we have finished loading the data, so we can use wire loading dot remove. So when data has been loaded, we want to remove the spinner and show the unordered list, and while data is being loaded, we want to show the spinner. As simple as that, and then you'll have added a custom spinner. So if I go back here and now I do a refresh, see by default we have nothing because the data has been loaded. But if I do a search now, look at this, really beautiful. All right, if I say, for example, test, it will load and then show the data. All right, if I do this, it will load and then show the data. And that is how you simply add a custom spinner or a loader to your LiveWire component. Hello guys, welcome back, and in this lesson I want to show you how to add a confirm message. For example, you want to delete data or you want the user to confirm something, then you can be able to do that in Livewire. So without further ado, let us dive in and see how to do that. So I'm going to my code here. And so in our case here, I want when the user clicks the delete button, he receives a confirm prompt where he can confirm whether to delete the message or not to delete. And then if he confirms that you want to delete the data, it will proceed and delete the data. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going inside the list to do, and I'm going to add a delete method here. So let us say public function. Let us see what I can do here. I can say public function delete. I believe I can be able to pass a model here. I can be able to do a model binding. That is what I presume. Then we can simply say to do, and I want to delete like this, and that should work. And I can return maybe an alert and say alert, success one, say to do deleted successfully, like that, and that is it. And then when I go to list task here, now I'll go to the delete button here. I can say right click, I want to call a delete guy. All right, and in this delete guy, I'm going to pass, not sure if that is how I can pass this data, and say to do, going to call the ID. All right, so that will pass the ID to the delete method, and then I can say wire confirm is equals to, I think that is okay. So that is how you add a wire confirm to confirm if the user wants to delete the data, and then the wire click will pass the to-do ID, and on the to-do ID they will be deleted and then alert the user. So let us try if this will work. So I'm going to do a refresh here. So let us click delete and see. You see it gives me an alert. That is okay. But what about if I click OK? I get this message that the method alert does not exist, and that is because I did a silly mistake and forgot to import the use live while I alert like that. Let us do this refresh again and see. All right, it has actually deleted that guy. So let us try this also. Delete, click OK. You see, to do deleted successfully. Wow, this is really beautiful. I love what I've created. Let us try this again. Oh, this is edit. What am I doing? Let us go back by simply clicking submit, edited, update, to do updated successfully. Let us click delete. Okay, it deletes, then updates me. That is how you fire confirm prompt if you want the user to confirm whether he wants to delete or not. And then lastly, I want to show you something else with delete. Actually, you can add a message. The way GitHub as an input whereby you type something to confirm that you really want to delete, you can actually do that. And by adding this dot prompt, then the message that you want, are you sure, that is the question. Then the next line, type something. You see here, I'm just going to copy this and go back to our guy here. Where is the list task? I'm going to replace our guy here like this, paste that there, and then let us do a refresh again and see what we'll have here now. Let's try to delete this. Now you see you get these prompts that says type delete to confirm. So if I type OK, this won't delete this data. But if I go ahead and say delete, and then I type delete here and say OK, this now will delete the data. All right. So that is how you add a confirm message in Livewire, and let us meet in the next lesson. Hello guys, welcome back, and in this video I want to show you how to use LiveWire pagination. So this is going to be a straightforward and easy to understand lesson, and without further ado, let us dive in and see how to do this. So in my current state, as you all know, if you have been following this lesson, of course, you'll understand that in my case here I'm using Bootstrap, and Livewire by default comes with Tailwind. So in such case, you need to configure Livewire to use the Bootstrap pagination instead of Tailwind. And so the first thing that you need, if you go to the installation, tab, you'll get this artisan to publish the config. So currently, when I go to my project here, let me just go. Is it here? Inside the config folder, there is no livewire.php. So of course, we need to copy this command like this, and I'm going to my terminal, and here on my terminal I'm going to paste that, and I'm going to press enter. So this will publish the livewire bootstrap file or settings for pagination. When I go to the pagination page, you're told if you're using Bootstrap, let me see, where is it? You need to set Livewire to know that you're using Bootstrap. So in our case here, so it is down here. You need to go inside the config Livewire. So I'll need to go inside now the, let me see, config Livewire. I need to look for pagination. So I need to search for pagination themes. You see by default it is Tailwind, so you have been told to set it to Bootstrap. So that is what I'm going to do, Bootstrap, like that. And then that is all. Now you're ready to use pagination in your application. So what I'm going to do now is that inside our list page, list task here, where we are listing our task here, I want to paginate this page, and for now I'm just giving you an example. I'll paginate the page by one task, which is not necessarily something viable, because it doesn't make sense you paginating a page by one element. But this is just an example, and you can be able to do anything that you want. So you need to import a trait by the name use by the name with pagination. So once you've done that, you need to render your model or your collection with the paginate um, method, the way you do in Laravel, and that needs to be inside the render method. So that is one of the things that really made me waste a lot of time when using Livewire. I did not understood it well, so I was trying to call this paginate method outside other function, and every time I did that I got an error. So it needs to be inside the render function. I don't know why, but maybe that bug has been fixed. But now you need now to, instead of get, I'll just say paginate, and I want to paginate for now, I'll just say 1. All right, so I'll paginate by 1, and then when now I go to my list task here, you need to go inside your code, and just after your list here, your unordered list, you need to add the data that you want to paginate, which is to do's, and say links. All right, these are method that we'll call the bootstrap styling and all that stuff behind the scene. So that is what you just need to do, and of course maybe I need to add a margin bottom for that is okay. So let us save this and see what we'll have here on the browser. So if I refresh this, as you can see, now we have our bootstrap pagination, really beautiful, and there we go, as simple as that. So now if I navigate to page 2, you see it loads, and then definitely it shows me the data. If I go back to page 1, it loads and then shows me the data. And that is it, guys. That is how you add pagination in your Livewire application. Hello guys, welcome back, and in this lesson, which is our last lesson, I decided to end this course here, or rather let me say all these lessons here, because I believe I've taught everything that can get you started and start building a real application for to solve a real world problem. All right, so the things that have remained, they are kind of more advanced, which I'll create individual lessons for those things, and then you can be able to follow up. But for this course, you can end it here and then go build something that you want, explore anything that you want. And for this lesson, which is going to be a very short one, I'm going to show you how to use session storage. So session storage, as of course you know, or you have worked with PHP, any kind of backend, framework or language, you understand that you can be able to store data in session. Even so, when I go to my list task now, for example, if I let me just do a refresh quick fast here. So if I do something, let us say I search for something, and then this data is not on the database, what happens is that if I do a refresh again, this data will be lost. And simply because this data has not been stored on a session or has been cached, so this data will be lost. So what you can do in Livewire, let me just take you through the documentation. You see, you can use what we call the session properties, all right, or session storage. So it's very simple. And in our case here, what I want when the user types this, I want to keep the search, the search query in the session, so that when he or she refreshes the page, the search query will be maintained and will show the data that is expected. So it's very simple, straightforward. So you go to your your class here and use this guy by the name hashtag session. All right. So it tells me to import, of course, is this one here. And then this session, you can pass a key. A key is a unique identifier for that session value. All right. So you can pass a key, but I'm not going to do that. Is because I'm just using only one search. Maybe you have different searches that you want to use, you can pass a key. So as you have been shown here, session key, you can pass a key. You can also pass dynamic data even to this session. For example, you can pass let us see, you want to pass author ID, you can do something like this. This is all that you need to do in order to use the session, properties. So now if I go to my guy here again, so once I've done a refresh now, I can say, for example, I want to search for, I don't know, whatever. And okay, there is no, okay, it's doing search, there is no value for that search. So now when I do a refresh, it will maintain this value. As you can see, the value is maintained. So let me refresh this again. So the value again is maintained. And I just did that, with just one word code, which is quite interesting with Livewire, because if you understand something like PHP, you could have done session start, session end, store this value, invalidate session, I don't know, all those things. But with Livewire, just one line of code and you're able to do this. This is really fantastic. And so, guys, this brings us to the end of this course. This is more of a, let me say, beginners to intermediate course in Livewire, and I'll make a more advanced, single lessons for more advanced features, which necessarily you might not need to understand when beginning with Livewire. And this will include things like file uploads, things like computed properties, things like caching, and all those stuffs. So with that, thank you so much for staying around, for watching these lessons. I hope you have learned, and I hope you'll be able to take your career to the next level with Livewire. And with that, leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, and until we meet again, bye bye.